So how do you homeschool multiple grades? I think that's definitely one of the questions that comes up when one is considering homeschooling. In this video, I'm going to share 5 tips or strategies that has worked very well from our families in helping us to be able to homeschool different levels of learning and different grades at the same time. Hi, my name is Celeste. I am the homeschooling mom of 3 boys. This year we have a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader. But when we transitioned to homeschooling a few years ago, our boys were in 5th, 3rd, and 1st grade. But when we transitioned again, my youngest was in 1st grade, and then this year our oldest is in 7th grade. So in the course of 3 years, I have homeschooled or taught from 1st to 7th grade, all those grade levels in between. So there have been 5 tips or things that has really helped in being able to homeschool multiple grade levels at the same time. The first tip is to combine subjects when appropriate or when beneficial. So there are certain subjects that are not great for combining or maybe not work well, but there are some that work really well. And for us specifically, subjects such as history, science, geography, specials, right? Art, music, those are subjects that lend themselves very well to be able to be combined. Also, if you look at your children's specific levels of learning, you may be able to combine even more subjects. But for us, combining things like history and science, geography, that has worked so well. And one of the reasons it's so great is because those are subjects that are really great for discussion. So we love being able to read a lesson all together and then have everybody discuss and share thoughts, opinions, right? Experiences. And that really helps elevate the learning to another level. So tip number 1 is combining subjects whenever you are able to. Second tip that really helps is to be able to rotate individual and group subjects. So we start every day with our morning meeting, and I shared a video showing our morning meeting routine, so I'll be sure to link that video down below in case you'd like to check it out. But we start all together with group time during morning meetings. So we do things like Bible, like our calendar time, and then we start with history. For this specific year in history, our older 2 boys, our 7th and 5th grader, they're doing the mystery of history, while my youngest is doing a separate history. So what we do is, while I'm reading our older boys their history lesson, our youngest son is working on something like handwriting. Usually he starts with handwriting. Why handwriting? Because it's something that doesn't require a lot of brain power, right? He's just working on forming his letters. And so he's actually also able to listen in on his older brother's history lessons. So he's actually learning so much, even though it's not his specific course, just being able to be around us while he's also listening, he's working on his handwriting. When we are done reading our history lesson, then my older boys start working on their activities for history or their memory cards. And if you'd like to know a little more about this specific history curriculum, Mystery of History Volume 4, I actually just did a look inside or a review. So I'll link actually that video as well in case you'd like to check it out. But while they're working on their memory cards, then I'm able to go to my youngest son and get him going on his math lesson. So we look at his math, we check if he has any new concepts he's going to learn. I explain it, I teach the lesson, and then he gets going on his independent studies. Then I kind of cycle back to my older boys, and then we start with their science. So they also are doing science together this year, our older 2 sons. So we'll do our science lesson together. And then at that point, then they'll get going on their independent studies like math, language, things like that. And I'll go back to my youngest son and work on some of his work. So we'll look at his reading, we'll look at his language lesson, different things like that. And after that, literally, I'm just kind of cycling around, seeing who needs help, seeing how things are going. So it's extremely, extremely helpful to be able to kind of navigate it that way. So being able to rotate between independent and group studies. The third tip that really helps a lot is spreading out the workload throughout the week. For us specifically, it really has worked well to make the bulk of our work be in the beginning of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, those are our seriously heavy days. So it's when we do most of all our subjects. We really get a lot of our work done. And then Thursday and Friday are our lighter days. So we don't do every subject every day, as I imagine many of you don't as well. So there are certain subjects that we do every day, such as math, such as language, different things like that. But there are some that we don't do every day. For example, science, we do a few times a day. So that allows us to be able to taper off as far as our workload. So by the time Friday comes and everyone is a little more tired, including the teacher, things are a little bit easier. It's not such a heavy load, and we kind of ease into the weekend. And that has worked so well for us, being able to start strong. Like I said, get most of our work done Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday be lighter days. My fourth tip is to be able to be consistent. Consistency is something that has helped us so much in our homeschool. Being able to have a specific flow or order that we do things every day really helps the boys to know what to expect. So they're not coming to me every minute saying, Mom, what do we do now? Mom, what do we do now? They already know because we have that flow. We have that consistency every single day, and that really helps keep things going, right? As you're working with different grade levels. Something that has also worked very well is the use of a student checklist. And I shared that in our student binder video, so I'll link that video down below. But they have a checklist that they use every single week that says it has all of their assignments for that week. So once they get to the point in our day where they're working in their independent studies, they're literally looking at their checklist, and they can see, okay, I have lesson 33 to get going on, and they get going. And if they have any questions, they can kind of save them until I cycle around to them, and then they ask me and we can work them out. So having that independence in their learning has been so great. So I really value our time together. I value the lessons that we can share and we can discuss, because again, in that discussion, there's so much learning that happens. But I also want to foster independence in their learning so that they can look at what they have to do and take ownership of their learning and work independently as well. So being consistent and fostering that independence has worked so well for being able to teach multiple grades at the same time. The final tip number 5, is to be able to be flexible, to be able to evaluate from time to time what's working, what's not working, and adjust as necessary. So just as you want to be consistent, you also want to allow that flexibility. So if there is a day that something has to be adjusted, homeschooling allows for that flexibility. Also, if you realize, starting with this subject is kind of slowing us down, or doesn't seem to be the right order, you can adjust. I've made adjustments since we started homeschooling to be able to figure out what's the best way, specifically on switching between independent and group studies, right? What subjects work well? Which one should we do first? So it's something that you kind of do trial and error, right? You try it out, you see what works best for your specific family and for your specific children. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was beneficial. Again, these are tips that have worked for our family. We understand that every single family is different. So try things out, see what works best for you. For me, something that has been so helpful is to be able to pray and ask the Lord for guidance in my day-to-day, right? As I teach my children, really depending on the Lord's guidance in every step of the way. And that has been an extreme help, right? As you're trying to juggle the different aspects of teaching multiple grade levels. I hope you and your family are well. I hope you're blessed. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos, and I look forward to talking to you soon.